Hi, thanks for joining us on Gia's Italian Kitchen podcast. Or if you're watching this on video, maybe we're pushing this out on video. I am here today with Erika from Tura Lura, and we are going to talk about her new business and find out how she got started and kind of what motivates you to get to that point of success. So thank you so much for joining. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we've actually just met earlier this year. So this is gonna, I know we talked a lot the first time that we
Yes.
were hanging out, but I know that there's a lot more to learn. So tell me, how did this get started?
Yeah. So I always like to tell people I'm an educator and an artist. That's always been like the thread throughout my entire life. So I've worked in higher education for over a decade and always on the side had art in my life. And for a long time, that was teaching dance and teaching yoga and performing locally. And after I had my kids, I had a hip tear that kind of flared its head. And so I couldn't do what I used to do. And my second child was born about 6 weeks into the pandemic. And like a lot of people during those early days when we were at home, I had to channel my creativity. And because movement was something I was navigating with the hip tear and having a newborn and having a toddler, I started playing around with my bucket list of other artistic endeavors. And for me, that was making concrete, which is an art form, and then also making candles. And it was kind of fun because I was able to merge these two. So I was creating these concrete vessels and I started putting candles in them. And this is again when like supply chain was not really great. So I was making my own unique little candles just for fun, just for a hobby. Yeah, you have fun. And it was kind of fulfilling, and I could spend a lot of time and energy, usually late at night after the kids were in bed.
Yeah.
And it was really accidental. Like I always say, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Because I had been so involved in the arts, follow all the like artist grants in our area, and I saw a call for public art grants through public health, and kind of thought it was going to be a long shot and applied for it. And it was a really good fit. And I ended up making
Wow.
hundreds of candles. And that really gave me the confidence to say, I want to try this small business thing out. I think I could do this. And that was a little over a year ago. So I've had my company for a year now, and I've grown from offering candles that are all handcrafted and handmade by me here in Iowa using local items, to offering candle pour bar classes in Iowa City, and now coming to Cedar Rapids. So that's been a
Yeah,
big
we're going to
kind of
talk about that. I
adventure.
want to
Yeah.
hear about that. Yeah. So how was making concrete like on your list of, hey, these are things I want to learn how to do? Like that's such an interesting bucket list item.
Yeah, it is. I love to DIY. I love to take on projects that seem really intimidating and kind of break it down into like steps for me to achieve it. I think it's just how my brain works as I see a project and I can kind of backwards plan how to create something. So when I think about like different art projects I want to do, concrete was just on there because I think it's making a comeback. It's, kind of mid-century modern. Like there's concrete elements when you go into like architecture places, like it's concrete's being incorporated in really cool ways with home decor. And so I thought to myself, that would be really cool to learn how to make that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was on my list, and like, it was one of the many things, and it just kind of stuck because not many people around here were doing concrete work. So yeah, it's just kind of stuck.
And then the candles
Mm-hmm.
that's a wonderful thing to make DIY. But then how did you think to combine the two?
Yeah. So I think, again, this was rooted in kind of my experience and what I heard other people saying during those early days of the pandemic is we were so isolated from each other. We weren't in community. We weren't in connection. And so I remember, especially when I was like teaching myself how to do it, I was watching a lot of YouTubes, I was doing a lot of research, and I kept making mistakes, and I kept having like these like crumbly like candles. And I was like, I wish I could learn from somebody. I wish I could do this with somebody. And it kind of, again, was just one of those magical things that happened where I had the idea in my head. I started talking about it with people I knew in the entrepreneur community, and somebody introduced me to a woman, her name's Emily, who owns the greenhouse in Iowa City. And she was opening her space and was hoping to have some programming. I was somebody looking for space to host a program in. And we just really developed a beautiful relationship. And so now pretty much every couple weeks, I'm hosting events there at the greenhouse for candle pours. And it's really, it's a time, like I always say to people, we have 3 goals. I'm going to teach you a little bit about the basics of candle making. I want you to make your own beautiful custom candle. So we'll blend the fragrances. You'll learn the basics. You can do this at home if you want to. But the third thing is like, let's have fun together. Let's be together in community, laughing, socializing, enjoying each other. So it was just, again, one of those ideas that has come to fruition. And sometimes it's like, how did this happen? It was just everything aligned. It was really meant to be.
Yeah. I love that, because that's definitely one of my foundational pieces is, even if you don't like to cook or you're intimidated by cooking, just coming together and being, well, even if it's virtual or if it's in person, just like stepping out of your normal routine, getting out of work and just spending time and laughing and, telling stories with family is what brings the positive energy, I think, back to our bodies,
Yeah. It's those shared experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's those memories that you're making. And so you walk away with, your handmade food and items, or you walk away with a candle, but really it's like the memory of that experience that's so impactful for people.
So you just touched on the fragrance piece, but I remember when I was smelling like all of your shelves and they're so beautiful, these combinations of scents that you've put together. But so I want you to talk about that, but then also there was one that was in that rose colored jar, and I can't remember what was in it, probably champagne and something else, but tell me about that, because that was my favorite.
Yeah. So I have 3 scents that I'm carrying this summer. So the one you're talking about is lovingly called Fruit Loops, because it has citrus undertones. It has vanilla and cream in it. So it's a blend of natural oils. So these are all clean burning and safe products. That again, I use soy wax from here in Iowa. I use oils that I get from small businesses in the Midwest. And it's really fun to play with scents and fragrances and come up with new combinations. Some of the other scents that I have right now is the saffron and cedarwood. I think you had liked that one too. It was really deep and earthy, and the sandalwood and cedarwood, like it just comes through and is really, really lovely and deep is how I describe it, deep and luxurious. And then I love the fragrance. It's sea salt and orchid. It's light, it's fresh. It feels like a spa. So 3 different tones. Yeah. It was just 3 different tones, because after especially doing all the pour bars that I've done, I've started to notice scent like food is so unique for somebody, right? It triggers memories. It triggers a lot of different things. What one person loves, another person might not.
Right.
So those 3 are a pretty good selection of, most people respond positively to those and can find one of the 3 that they really resonate with. Yeah.
Okay. That is so fun. Now, the other thing that I love, because I gave this to my daughter, was you've got the candle, but then when the candle comes down, you have the is this macrame?
Yep.
Yeah.
The macrame. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you put it in the macrame. Well, I'm probably gonna mess it up here, but you put it in the macrame, and then you can put a succulent in here as a plant. And I thought that was ingenious too, because you were making multiple uses for things, so that once the candle's gone, there's still a use for your product.
Yeah. It's just that idea of being sustainable as much as I can, because so much, like, it's a labor of love to make the concrete. It does take quite a bit of time and effort to get those little pots done. And as I was experimenting and playing, like, I would just keep all of my little candle vessels and I would pop succulents in it, and it felt like a good fit. And so the macrame, again, as a like DIYer, like I love to try new things. I love to try new knots and experiments, and like it just kind of all formed together. And so that has been something people have appreciated. Like you'll get the macrame and then turn it into something else. And also I have a line of candles that you can actually just buy the refills for it. So you can just keep your concrete and then pop in a new candle if you need it. So that's just another way to try and be a little bit more sustainable with your purchases.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell me about, when you kind of like not hit the wall, but hit maybe a roadblock, or you feel, like you're coming onto a struggle. How do
Yeah.
you overcome that as a small business owner?
Oh, that's a great question. Being surrounded by a lot of women in business, women entrepreneurs like yourself, and being able to collectively share and support with each other has been really important. I think leaning into resources that our communities have. I'm based in Iowa City, and so we do have a really strong network of like small businesses and entrepreneurs that gather, and it's just it's something that at the beginning, and I don't know if you resonate with this, but at the beginning when I was first starting out, I didn't really call myself an entrepreneur. I didn't feel like I fit into that space. I thought that was for, people who were in tech or people who had a lot more experience. And so I think that biggest piece of the confidence was something I had to work through. And then I have found this whole network now of people who I can problem solve with as I learn more about the world of business. Yeah.
So are the people in that organization all from Iowa City?
I would say the greater Iowa City area. And so I specifically, I went through an entrepreneurial program at Merge in Iowa City called Builders and Backers. It's a nationwide accelerator program is how it's framed. And so you get coaching and mentorship from people locally, but also they have some national contacts too. And so that I always say it was transformative for my understanding and growth and development. And again, that confidence piece of like, you can figure this out. You have people who care and can help provide support as you go down this journey. So yeah, in Iowa City, Merge is a great resource for any aspiring entrepreneurs.
That is so cool. I need to look into that.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if there's one up here, but I would think there would be. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's like the economic development just in the state of Iowa, finding the little hubs of people. And again, just like bringing the chair up to the table, right? Like it might not feel like the right fit right away, but maybe there's a contact who can connect you to other places.
Yeah. So you have an event coming up.
Yes.
Pour, right? It's a pour.
Yes, a candle pour in Cedar Rapids.
Okay, so tell us more about the event. I know where it is, but tell us where it is, and then tell us what does that mean? What's a candle pour?
Yes. Okay. I'm so excited for this. So on June 25th, which is a Sunday, I'm going to be at the local Grove Market at Ashton Hill Farm. It's a market with about 30 different local vendors who are going to be selling handmade goods, artisan products. And then myself, I'm going to be there, but doing a candle pour bar experience. So what that means is that you can come up and find me. I'll be in the loft. We will make our own candles together. I have these beautiful jars. I should have brought some for the video today. These beautiful jars. You can choose your color jar. You choose your color wick trimmer. You blend all the fragrances. I have a ton of summer and just beautiful different options for people to choose and to be able to blend and create their own unique scents. And then while your candle cures, it takes about an hour, you go enjoy the market. There's food, there's vendors, there's, again, that beautiful space. So it's just kind of a fun experience to have. You can come solo, you can bring a friend, it's up to you, but we'll be there all day and pouring candles in Cedar Rapids.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
And that's a great space. That building is beautiful on the inside. It was we went there for a wedding and it was very surprising when we walked inside. I was like, oh my gosh, this place is amazing.
Gorgeous. And I will share, it is a ticketed event. And so I'll share the link with you so you can put that in show notes so people can get a discount. I have a discount code to have entry into the events. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll put all the links to your website, to the event, everything in the notes for sure. Perfect. That is so exciting. So you already had one in Iowa City, and how did that go?
Yeah, so I've been doing the candle pour bars in Iowa City for about 8 or 9 months now. Okay, wow. And so on a regular basis, it's happening like every 2 to 3 weeks. And then I've been doing some private parties as well. Okay. And those have been filling up. So I just met with Emily from the greenhouse and we're planning out a bunch of great fall ones. Okay. So we'll be releasing all of our fall dates in Iowa City with fall fragrances and kind of that fall theme. So the nice thing about the candle pour bar too is like, just like cooking, right? Like you can have different themes. You can have different seasons. And so people who've come to one during the spring have come back now for the summer scents and are planning on coming back for the fall scent. So it's, again, kind of, you learn the skill, but it's, again, about that socialization. So you can come in and just have fun and pour candles.
Right. Because it's way more fun to do it with a group of people. And even if you did learn how to do it, it would be a different experience if you were just going home and trying to do it on your own.
Yeah. It's more fun to do it with friends.
Definitely. So the greenhouse, is that what it's called?
Yep, the greenhouse in Iowa City.
Do they have an event page that lists your?
I'll share both my event page on turalura and then I'll share the greenhouse website as well, because it's a great space to go to grab a coffee, a cocktail, a mocktail, whatever you want. It's just a beautiful space.
That is excellent. That is excellent. So tell me, so another, not maybe tough question, but curious question. So tell me, what has been the greatest thing that you've overcome on this journey in the past couple of years?
I shared a little bit about the confidence piece. I do feel like that was a big barrier. I think managing all the things as a mom, I still have my full-time job. I still have a lot of, it's like the multi-passionate person, like how you plan everything in place. And, my kids are very young, 3 and 5. And so the last couple of years has been challenging in terms of, like, in the early days, all the quarantines and other kind of navigating our schedules. That was really hard to make space and time to actually think about what this business could become. And so I do think that persisting and finding community and having a really supportive partner, that has all led to me being able to create the space and the time to make this small business, not just a hobby, but truly like a business where I show up and I'm reliable and I'm doing things and I'm making, like, an impact. That's the biggest thing. I want to make an impact. So I think it was figuring out how to, I don't want to use the word balance, but figuring out the flow of what does having a small business look like with everything else going on.
I love that. That is so difficult too. And we've had to redefine it in COVID because the whole family has a different dynamic than it used to. So even if you thought you had a balance back here, that's, the apple cart has been, tossed upside down, and we're all trying to figure that out again. Yeah. And as a mom, that's really difficult, right? You've got a job, you've got a mom job, you're a wife, and then you're trying to start a business on top of your day job. That's tough. I know. I know exactly where you are.
Yeah. And, I think there's been maybe some hiccups and some learning lessons along the way, but I don't know about you. I feel so much more resilient at this point in the journey, knowing we can do these hard things and we can figure this stuff out, and just how important it is to take care of ourselves and have the people around us being our cheerleaders, cheering us on, telling us that we can do this. That's
so important, having the cheerleaders around you. And I forget who said this, but this is our dream. This isn't necessarily our spouse's dream or our best friend's dream, and they might support us. But if we surround ourselves with at least positive people, but we still have to follow the dream ourselves, because it's our dream. It's not necessarily like they don't feel what we feel, right? But at least surrounding yourself with positive people is going to help move you forward and boost that confidence, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the pour, but like what's your vision? What is next for Tura Lura?
Oh, that's a great question too. I have a brain that is always thinking of a lot of different ideas, and then I try and kind of narrow it down to which ones can I execute on, and then lean into the things that are working really well. So I love the relationships I've built with the pour bars and seeing how I can bring that to be a more mobile experience. So can I go to Cedar Rapids more often? I'm talking with somebody in Quad Cities about trying a pour bar out
Oh,
there.
wow.
I think that's going to be the next step, is figuring out if there is interest from people in hosting private parties or doing it at different venues, how to achieve that this coming year and make it still be. I always like to make sure it's affordable for the clients, that it's a good space, it's a good time. We can do all those things that we are intending to do together. So that's the big thing for the year. I always keep an eye out for, do I want to look at a space? Do I want to create a space here? There's other larger metropolitan areas that host and like have their own space. So I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind, but it's not something I'm leaning into too hard at the moment. But we'll see where kind of things go and what opportunities present themselves. So I've gotten the nickname the Candle Lady like recently. And I'm like, I guess that works, because it is all thing candles. But I do, in my heart, I kind of stepped into the space because of the artist grant, right? And I really was trying to figure out, how can I support other artists in our area to create more relationships with local small businesses, because we have so many in the corridor who buy local and like to support local artists.
Yeah.
And so I think with that vision of like, do I want to have a physical location? I'd love to see more spaces for local artists to display their work. So that's always kind of on the back burner too, of how can I merge those ideas and maybe bring something to life at some point.
Oh, that's so exciting. Are there spaces that could be shared?
Oh,
so that you wouldn't have to get your own store?
Yeah, one of the things I've been exploring a lot and doing more work on is getting both myself and then helping other artists build those B2B relationships, so business to business relationships in the corridor. I think in terms of like shared space, there's some collective models that have been successful. I think we do have some shops in the corridor that do really support local and are doing great work with that. But I also think it's a challenging time for retail with the inflation and with kind of the prices where things are at right now. Is I've seen a lot of small businesses closing their doors at this time that have had some of those models. And so just kind of watching and learning. And again, I really appreciate the mentorship I've gotten from other entrepreneurs and kind of the lessons learned, and just taking all of that into consideration as I think about, okay, if we want to support local artists, we want to build a strong community and keep more money locally, like what could that look like? So it's an ongoing kind of thing in my brain.
I love that. You have such a passion for that local support, local ingredients, but local supportive of business. That is so wonderful. And Iowa City and obviously Cedar Rapids are embracing you with open arms.
Thank you.
That is so exciting. Well, if there is one thing that you would want people to know about yourself or Tura Lura that we haven't talked about already, what would that be?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think I've talked much about like how I'm a trained educator. That's like my day job. So I think I come to making candles and like creating these shared experiences with all of that in mind. I love the idea of the group development piece of helping people when they come into a space, whether they're coming alone or with other people, how you can enjoy getting to know other new people. And so I get to bring my expertise from like the years of education I've had now into this new space with candles. And so I think, if you join an experience with me, I love to see people kind of put themselves out of their comfort zone, get talking to other people, try something new, and just love to hear about your experience. So if people join me, please let's connect. Let's stay in touch, because I like to hear the stories that people share.
That is beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Erika, owner of Tura Lura. Not the candle lady, but
the candle lady and
cement maker.
And cement maker.
I love it. I love it. So your event is June 25th up here in Cedar Rapids at, what's the official name of the location?
The Local Grove Market at Ashton Hill Farms.
Okay.
So you can find all the details at www.turaluraco.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, and we
Thanks,
will
Kelly.
talk to you soon.
All right. Good seeing you.